I like to think of platforms in maybe two major ways. One is what I like to call a scaffold, which is, you know, a platform that we had to build up in order to build the house or develop a drug or a product. But then you tear it down, and we don't particularly care about it afterwards, because the value of the company, and everybody should know this, is the value of every biotech company is going to be the value of its product and its primary product. And then I think of, you know, the alternative to that is like a forge or a foundry, where we invest in this platform not just for our first product or our second product, but because we believe that it's going to be able to continue paying off and develop a whole pipeline of therapeutics, both internally and a partner, over a long period of time. And so when I think about it in that way, there are certain platform technologies, a sort of scaffold model, where you kind of have to build it all up because you already have the target in mind. You know, you want to go after like a KRAS G12D mutation, and so you pick your certain set of technologies together just to get to that, you know, unique molecule that can inhibit it, as opposed to the sort of foundry or forge concept, which is you start with the platform, and then from there we try to extract, you know, not just a single product, but a class of products or an area of indications that we want to prosecute and build towards. We are, as investors, much more focused on the latter, the sort of foundry model, because, you know, that's really where, kind of alluding to the earlier point, engineering mindsets shine, because we can justify putting so much money into this thing, and focus and energy that we're going to be able to derive so much value from it. And so if I take that a step further and think, okay, we've got a cool platform. We get pitched this all the time. Somebody comes to us, or like, I have a magical way to, you know, make antibodies, or I have a magical way to produce and engineer this, you know, very interesting cell type. I have a great way to create magical promoters around gene therapies. Then we start to think about a notion that we've started to internally call tech target fit, which is, how does the tech you've built uniquely allow you to prosecute and treat the target of interest or target space? And it can do it one of two ways. It can do it better than anybody else, right? So an oral small molecule with better efficacy towards, you know, some kind of cancer that's better than a very extremely onerous infusion-driven chemo, you know, does better, and it's much nicer to handle. But the other part of it is, what can we do? What novel biology are we enabling with these novel technologies? So a gene therapy is, and a replacement gene therapy, and AAV as a platform, allowed us to cure diseases that were fundamentally uncurable in other ways. And it just opened up a whole space of biology and indications and patient sets that normally would have had no other option. And so in that vein, something we've started to think about a lot, and is a notion of like a cookie cutter target, which is, you've got a platform, it's got some unique use cases, but let's go after something that's very simple. The target is super de-risked. You know, there might be drugs on the market that already go after it, but we know that people need to learn to trust this novel biology and this novel platform we're developing. And then there's kind of like the secondary, which is this like blue ocean target or target space, which is, what can we uniquely do that nobody else has ever been able to do? I think when you come in with both of those, the first shows that your biology works, you're not just a clown. And then the second shows that there's a huge area of unmet need that you are attacking. And as we think a lot about like the engineering biology, the computation, the bio IT stuff, it's also important to us because we want to invest in companies where those technologies are meaningful and differentiated. So, you know, I think that notion of platform as a foundry, and then the notion of like, how do we de-risk it with like a straightforward indication and a broader indication space, is really our kind of decision tree when we see novel technologies or read interesting papers of how we would, you know, apply those to real, at least biotherapeutic needs.